grand marble gates of the Sterling estate opened with a slow groan, revealing a world most people could only dream of. Glittering fountains, pristine gardens, and a mansion that looked like it belonged in a palace magazine. But behind those golden gates lived a silence that was not natural, an unnatural silence imposed on an innocent little girl. 8-year-old Emily Sterling was known in town as the deaf daughter of one of the richest businessmen in the city, Charles Sterling. She never spoke, never responded when people called her name, and never joined in conversations. Most believed she was simply born without the gift of hearing, but the truth, hidden deep within the walls of that mansion, was far more cruel. Emily wasn't deaf at all. She had been taught to stay silent, and it would take a compassionate young nanny named Clara to uncover the painful truth her father had long ignored. Before we dive into this heartbreaking and powerful story, don't forget to hit like, me into your thoughts, and subscribe to expose tales for more life-changing stories that will move your heart. Clara Hughes was only 24 when she got the job. A small-town girl with a degree in early childhood education, she had been looking for work desperately after her mother fell ill and medical bills piled up. When she saw the posting for a live-in nanny at the Sterling estate, she thought it was a miracle. "I just want to help children," she told the head housekeeper during the interview. "I believe every child has a voice, even if the world refuses to hear it." The housekeeper had given her a strange look. "You'll be caring for Emily. She's different. She doesn't speak. Don't expect her to. Mr. Sterling doesn't like when people try too hard with her. Just keep her company." Clara nodded politely, but deep inside, she knew something didn't sound right. When she first met Emily, the little girl was sitting on a window seat, clutching a stuffed rabbit. Her big blue eyes filled with longing as she stared at children playing outside the iron gates. She didn't turn her head when Clara introduced herself. She didn't even blink. But something in Clara's heart told her, this wasn't the look of a deaf child. This was the look of a silenced one. Charles Sterling, Emily's father, was a man feared in boardrooms and admired in magazines. A self-made millionaire, he believed in discipline, control, and reputation above all else. To him, Emily was special, in the sense that she was different, but he wore her silence like a badge of suffering that made him look more human to the outside world. "She can't hear, Clara," he told the nanny coldly one evening when she tried to ask about Emily's condition. "Doctors confirmed it years ago. Stop wasting your energy trying to fix her. Just keep her quiet." Clara wanted to protest, but the pain in his voice stopped her. He spoke like a man who had convinced himself of a story too long to bear the truth. Still, Clara couldn't let it go. One afternoon, Clara was reading a fairy tale aloud to herself while Emily colored quietly beside her. She reached the part where the prince kissed the princess, and Clara laughed softly. To her shock, Emily's little hand paused mid-crayon stroke. She tilted her head, just slightly, like she had caught the sound. Clara's heart skipped a beat. She tested it again. She clapped softly. Emily's shoulders twitched. She whispered, "Emily," and saw the girl's eyelashes flutter as though resisting the urge to respond. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. Questions whirled in her mind. If Emily could hear, why was she pretending to be deaf? Or worse, why was she forced to? The next few weeks were filled with subtle tests. Clara hummed songs, tapped on tables, whispered her name. Each time Emily reacted in tiny ways, an eye flicker, a twitch, a stillness that lasted a beat too long. Finally, one stormy night, Clara couldn't contain herself. She leaned close to Emily, who was hugging her rabbit tightly as thunder rolled outside, and whispered, "Emily, I know you can hear me. It's okay. You don't have to be afraid." For a moment, Emily's lips trembled. She almost spoke, but then she shook her head violently and pressed her rabbit against her ears, tears streaming silently down her face. That's when Clara knew Emily wasn't deaf. She was terrified. Days later, Clara discovered the cruel truth by accident. She walked past the study and overheard an argument between Charles and his late wife's sister, Aunt Margaret. "You're destroying her, Charles," Margaret shouted. "Emily has been perfectly healthy since birth. You just couldn't handle the fact that she spoke the day your wife died.
You silenced her.
You told her to never speak again because her cries reminded you of that night." Clara froze. Her chest tightened. So that was it. The night Emily's mother died giving birth, the baby's cries had been the last sound Charles heard before his wife slipped away. To his broken heart, Emily's voice became a curse, a painful reminder of his loss. So he convinced himself his daughter was deaf and forced her into silence. It wasn't a medical condition. It was a prison built out of grief. Clara couldn't ignore it anymore. That night, she gently held Emily's hand and said softly, "Sweetheart, your voice is beautiful. You don't have to hide it for anyone, not even your father." Emily shook her head fearfully. Daddy said no voice. It was the first time Clara heard her whisper. The sound was fragile, like a bird learning to fly. Tears filled Clara's eyes. Daddy was hurting Emily. Clara said, her voice breaking. "But you are his joy, not his pain. Your voice is a gift. Please don't be afraid to use it." Convincing Charles was the hardest part. When Clara confronted him, he exploded in anger. "How dare you meddle in my family?" he roared. "She's deaf. That's the end of it." But Clara stood her ground. "No, Mr. Sterling. She hears everything. And she's been carrying your grief on her little shoulders. You're punishing her for a loss that was never her fault." For the first time, Charles faltered, his eyes clouded with something between fury and shame. Then from behind him came a small, trembling voice. "Daddy." Charles turned slowly. Emily stood there, clutching her rabbit, her lips quivering. "I can talk," she whispered. "I just wanted you to love me." Charles dropped to his knees, tears flooding his eyes as he pulled her into his arms. The dam of silence finally broke. From that day forward, the Sterling mansion was no longer silent. It echoed with laughter, bedtime stories, and Emily's little songs. Charles began therapy to face his grief, learning to love his daughter without the shadow of the past. Clara remained by Emily's side, not just as a nanny, but as the woman who gave her back her voice. The journey wasn't easy. Charles had to earn Emily's trust again. There were days she still flinched at speaking too loud, afraid of punishment. But Clara reminded her daily, "Your voice matters. You matter," and slowly Emily believed it. This story isn't just about a millionaire's mansion or a silenced child. It's about the wounds we carry and the truths we ignore. Sometimes the people we love the most are the ones we unintentionally hurt the deepest. But healing begins the moment we choose love over fear. If this story touched your heart, please comment your thoughts and subscribe to expose tales for more emotional, eye-opening stories that reveal truths hidden in plain sight. Emily grew into a confident young woman who used her voice not only to speak but to sing. And every time Charles heard her, he didn't hear the cry of loss anymore. He heard the sound of love he almost missed forever. Because silence can hide pain. But truth sets us free.